Hey, and welcome to the Edge Life. Y'all know what it is, man. This is the Edge Life where we discuss real life issues and bring you real life solutions for your soul, rooted in the Word of God.
We're just two busy parents who are on a quest to fulfill our God given purpose while balancing family, ministry, and secular jobs.
On this episode, we are going to unpack the thoughts of politics and leadership. Two things that you're probably not supposed to talk about, especially in public. But check it out. We're going to have a good time doing it. The only way we know how, the Edge Life. Y'all tune in. Let's go.
You know we had to cap it off with Jesus. Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, gotta get it in your head. Welcome to the edge life.
Welcome to that Edge Life. Edge Life. Yo, what is going on, everybody?
Hey, everybody.
Hello. It is another Sunday Fun Day. Welcome to the Edge Life.
It's the Edge Life.
That's what we do. That's what
my
we do.
Beautiful life.
Hey, check this out. If you have not already shared this out, make sure you share this out. Tonight, I believe we're going to talk about an explosive topic, but only, in a way that we can do it like this, because we're like edgy. You know what I'm saying? We are the edgy folks.
Always a little edgy. This is one of my favorite topics, though. I love to talk about leadership.
Yeah.
If you, lately I haven't been posting very much, but if you followed me over the last several years, you'll note that I post a lot, pretty frequently, about leadership.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And I know just personally for me, this is what I've been doing. I mean, this is the field that the Lord has blessed me to really work in, the field of leadership and people development. So, for the past 18, 20 years, I've been in this field grinding, and you've been grinding in this field, and it's always good to be able to talk to you all, our friends and our family, right? About a topic that we're extremely passionate about. So we're going to do that. But before we do that, babe, how you doing, man? How was your week? What's going on?
Oh, it was a good week. It's a busy week.
Yeah.
We're within like 30 days of a special event
Yep.
at Elevation House. So, trying to raise money in the midst of COVID can be really difficult. But when you're so passionate and believe in the mission, and it's the call that you have on your life, it makes it easier. How about you?
It has been an eventful week, but
Yeah.
to say the least. But God is definitely good. God knows what He's doing, and I'm super, super excited about what God is doing. I'm excited about new journeys. I'm excited about new destinations. I think we shared with you all last week. Even at Crossover Church ATL, shout out Crossover Church ATL.
Hey.
Man, we wound up seeing 9 people baptized
I know.
last, which was we didn't intend to do that at all.
Yeah, last Sunday was so awesome.
Man, but God is in the midst. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we had an unexpected. I think death is not something you expect anyways. But
Right.
when someone is ill, that's a little bit different. But we had an unexpected death of a young lady, and it really just sparked I think when things outside of the norm happen,
Yep.
it really sparks you to begin to examine your life.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people at church were just really looking at their life saying, okay,
Yep.
you know what, it's time. It's either time for me to give my life to Him, or I gave my life to Him, but it's time for me to fully commit and jump on in. So
Right.
just a beautiful thing. And then to watch the recap.
Yeah. The recap video was amazing.
Today, I cried the whole time, and then we followed that recap of the baptisms and seeing everybody get baptized and the reactions, and just hearing the things that people were saying with a baby dedication.
Yeah.
And I cried at that too.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of an emotional day today, but it some weeks are just like that. Right?
Yeah, some weeks are just like that, but you know what? We keep on pressing, and I would be remiss, but you are looking mighty fine today. I need to say that real quick.
Well, thank you.
Look at you, girl. I mean,
you can't see my earrings, but they do match my necklace.
Girl, you got a heavenly glow. Look at you.
I think
glistening.
It's the lighting. My lighting guy does a really great job. He makes them look spectacular.
That is what's up. That is what's up.
Yeah, we always have this thing about lighting. Like, I'm like, oh, be careful about the shadows because, they give you lines in certain places or whatever.
Yep. So look, let's kind of jump into this topic just a little bit. We know we're talking about politics today, and listen, let me just go ahead and say this. I don't care where you stand politically. Like, it don't matter to me if you stand on the right, if you stand on the left, if you stand in the middle, if you don't even know where you stand. I still want to talk about this, and we want to discuss this topic because we're in an election year. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a big thing. And I truly believe part of the problem is people don't talk about politics enough. It's become taboo, right? It's become something that, it's my opinion, and I want to keep my opinion private and this, that, and the other. And I agree with that. So today, we really want to frame this political conversation not around right or left, but around leadership, right? Because at the end of the day, whether you're right, whether you're left, whether you're in the middle, whether you don't know, we still have to have leadership that are impeccable leaders, right?
Yeah.
Are good leaders who can lead people, because that's the thing that not only we need in the country, not only do we need in the state, not only do we need in our local elections and places like that, we need people who can effectively lead. So Carrie, I want to start here and just ask you, when you think about good leaders, because I'm sure you've been around some, right? When you think about a good leader, like, what are some characteristics that you've seen in good, effective leaders?
I think for me, the thing that strikes home the most with leadership is that they place a value on the people that they've been called to serve. And I even specifically use that word serve.
Yeah.
Because, before you can lead, you have to serve.
Right.
I believe that wholeheartedly. And so, there is a constant consciousness in good leaders about the welfare mindset of the people that have been placed underneath their leadership. The people that trust them.
Yeah.
Because I've been in places where people don't trust leadership.
Right.
And they don't put themselves underneath that leadership. They
Right,
may still work there, they may still whatever, but they don't necessarily aspire or follow to the leadership in place. And so to me, that's the biggest thing, is that there's a sense of service, serving the people that you've been called to lead.
I like that. So no matter where you are, whether it's on the job, whether it's a political, whether it's in the home, right? I mean, no matter where you are, just from a leadership perspective, you have to have a desire to truly serve the people that you're called to lead. And I like that. You know what I'm saying? And I think about some of the good leaders that I've had, even some of the good leaders that I've had on sports teams and things like that. They had a conscious desire. They literally wanted to serve in the capacity of a leader and make sure that they were leading that team to victory, or leading that workplace to victory, or leading that home to victory.
Yeah. And I think, for me, I never want to be walking alongside a leader that I have to always question whether or not they value me.
That's good. That's good.
I want to know, I think a good leader has a vision, is able to communicate that vision, but also can communicate how, I and the collective, we are a part of that vision.
I like that.
And so John Maxwell, I think he said something along the lines that before you can have the hands of those that you lead, so people to walk with you, you have to have their hearts.
Yeah, yep, I remember that.
Yeah, you have to have their hearts. And so having someone's heart means that right up front, they know that you value them.
Yeah.
And that you go first.
Right.
I'm never going to ask you, and I say this all the time in leadership, I'm never going to ask you to do something that I wouldn't. Or
have not already done, or am not already doing.
Right, and I may not be as good at it as you, but I have a willingness.
That's good. I think like old school biblical days, right? I think of like David or some of these old school warriors that we see biblically speaking, right? They were always on the front line.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they were like always like first to battle. They were always going forward. You know, David went after Goliath. You know, after all the other crazy folks couldn't do anything, but he was like, "Who is this Philistine giant? Who does he think that I am?" And he literally went after him. And you know, one thing that for me is truly important is seeing a leader who is able to attack the thing. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily a leader who's going to sit on the back row and bark orders, or not a leader who's going to, you know, whip the team and be like, go get them, team. You know, I want a leader who I know is going to be out there on the front lines and working alongside me and working with me, like you said, for the betterment of the team or the betterment of the whole.
Yeah. For me, too, you know, one of the things that's really important is that a leadership has self-awareness.
Yeah.
Someone in leadership, they know where they're good, and they know where their like weak spots or their blind spots are, and they recognize that, and they're very transparent about those things, and they allow people to come alongside of them and fill the gaps.
Yeah.
So that as a team they can become truly excellent.
I love that.
You know, I don't have to be good at everything.
Right.
I just have to know a guy that's good at something.
That's good.
Know?
That's good.
So bringing the right people, that man, that woman, to fill that area on the team, and always thinking about it from a team perspective. To me, team leadership is extremely important. I mean, you always have to have someone who's leading the charge, but I aspire to that team type leadership role where everybody has an important role to play.
Everybody brings something to the table.
Everybody brings something to the table. I mean, there's no one on a field of play that doesn't bring something of value.
That's good.
From the person who brought the water to the quarterback, if we're talking about, you know, football, to the coach. So everybody has their role to play. But having a realization of where you're the best.
Yeah.
Or where you're the weakest, and being okay to say, you know, it's not about egos.
Right.
It's about putting aside the egos.
Right.
And looking at where are we trying to go? What is the vision? Being able to convey that, like I said before, and being okay with allowing people to shine where they're at. You know, I think one of the things that always that I watch really carefully about leaders is whether or not they take credit.
Yeah.
You know, we've all worked for the guy or the gal who takes credit for everything.
For everything, and you sitting there like, but.
And it's not so much that you need the credit, or you need
the
honor, or you need the glory, but the fact that it didn't go to the team. Like, to me, that's the big thing. Like when something happens in an organization, you have to understand it's not just about you. Yeah. There's so many different moving parts, but I always really dislike that. And so that's something about myself that I always try to keep in check. That it's not just me.
I had a mentor. He said, when we do something great, you all get the credit.
That's right.
When we do something that is wrong, I take the blame.
Yeah, that's my other one.
Yeah.
You know, I've had a lot of leadership roles at a very young age. And one of the toughest things that I had to learn about being a leader is that when you lead, you're responsible. Yeah, that's good. And whether you caused it or not, like, you're responsible for it. And, you know, I had to really come to terms in some tough situations about that. Right. You know, because I can remember when I was, you know, younger in leadership, like, oh, that's not right. You know, I'm getting in trouble for something somebody else did, and they're coming down on me. Well, it was on my watch. Right. And so I take that really serious, you know, having time to really examine that. You know, if you're leading, you are responsible. You're responsible. Yep. So let me ask you this. You know, we've talked about, you know, just some positive characteristics of leaders, you know, especially, you know, thinking about the political realm and things like that. Let's flip to the other side. You know, give me one or two things that you're like, no, you know, you need this, right? So what are some negative things that you've seen people try to pass off as leadership? Yeah, what are some negative traits? Negative traits that people try to pass off as leadership, or just negative traits? You know, other than taking credit for everything. Yeah. I think a dictatorship, because again, I value team. Yeah. So, you know, the person that leads I guess that's autocratic, where they're always in control. What I say goes. I think with that, you lose the value that people bring. And people don't want to bring it all.
Right.
Because they don't really, I think a lot of times when you're a dictator, people don't, they operate out of fear.
Right.
Instead of safety. And when people are safe, they'll come and bring you gifts that they have. And when I say gifts, I'm talking about internal.
Yeah.
They'll come and present things to you and say, oh, I can do that.
Right.
But when people live under a dictatorship, they live in a culture of fear, and they don't bring them their best selves.
Yeah.
They're just there trying to make it through.
That's good.
You know, I've worked in a place where there's really just a culture of fear where, you know, you wait for the moment where the next foot, you know, the shoe drops on you and that sort of thing. And it's a really hard place to really be your best self because you're always, you know, watching your back.
Yeah. You know, I think for me, I like that one. The one for me is I need a leader who can communicate to me the vision. Like I need a leader that knows where we're going. They don't have to have all the answers, but they need to be able to communicate where that place is. And if that leader cannot communicate where that place is, what I've seen is it leads to chaos because everybody's trying to go their own separate way because nobody knows what is the bullseye, what is the target. So for me, communication is key. And you have, again, you don't have to be a rah-rah leader. You know, and we know those rah-rah leaders are always up there. Right? You can be a silent leader, but if when the rubber meets the road, you still need to be able to communicate effectively, know the job, and know where we're going. Like if you don't know, like you can get into places, you know what I'm saying? But if you don't know what you're doing and being able to communicate it effectively, very soon, not only will you see as that leader, but everybody else will see, and then that impacts everybody.
And I think sometimes that's where the gaps in communication are, because you don't really know the job, or you don't really know where you're headed. It's hard to communicate, and you know, I was contemplating this idea of you know, being a effective communicator and being a eloquent communicator.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't think that you have to be eloquent to be effective.
No. I think they're two different things, but you have to be effective.
Right. I think exactly. There are eloquent speakers that have no efficacy in the sense of leading. Right. They can communicate something very eloquently and make it sound really good. But behind the scenes, they're just giving you like a pep talk. Right. You know, but then when you get out there on the field, there's no game plan. But you were all hyped up and ready to go somewhere.
But you didn't even know where you're going.
Know where you're going.
Yeah.
I'll go anywhere. But where are we going?
You know, and it's funny that you say that, but because on the other side of that, though, you know, I need somebody also who not only can just from a, you know, be able to share with me where we're going and how we're getting there, but I also have to make sure that I have somebody who when we get into battle is not gonna, you know, break down on me. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Because they're like, this is too heavy for me, or this is too big for me. You know, I think about like even when I was playing football, I had a coach and he was mean. I mean, like, I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, but here's the thing: just because he was mean and people did not like him, did not mean that he was not effective. Yeah, and that's because honestly, he was tough on everybody. But here's the thing: he was tough on everybody. Right, he was consistent. He was consistent in his toughness, and everybody knew the standard of expectation. And again, as players, we're like, man, we can't stand him, man, we don't like him. But the truth of the matter is, he got the best out of all of us, and we won and won big because he was able to get the best out of us. So again, two different sides of the spectrum. You know, one who can be eloquent and get everybody together. You know, but the other one who's just tough. Mm-hmm. And you can be tough and lead also. That because you don't have to be liked to be a great leader.
No, I don't think that being nice and being effective, they're not the same
They're
thing.
not the same thing. I know a whole lot of nice people who suck at leadership.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's times in leadership where it doesn't lend itself to being nice.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still be kind in the sense that you're tactful, but you have to do the tough stuff. Like, that's the thing with leadership. It's not all like, you know, tiptoe through the tulips.
But again,
I've had to do some really tough stuff.
Right.
Like, I've had to let people go.
Right.
And I can remember the first time that I fired someone, and I cried.
It's hard.
Because he was a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he was a great guy.
Yep.
And I had moved to another city.
Yep.
And I was fresh out of college, but I knew.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew he wasn't being an effective leader in the role that he was in.
Right.
And I couldn't continue to allow it. And so I went to my boss, and he was like, well, writing's on the wall. And he was like, go ahead and handle that.
And you're
and
like,
I was like, whoa, whoa,
yeah.
wait a minute. And so I can remember, like, and like he ended up consoling me, because he knew that he hadn't been upholding his end of the bargain. But there are tough things in leadership that you just have to do. And everybody's not going to like you. That was really hard for me in leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, over the course of, I guess since I was about 22 years old. Mm-hmm. So the last 22 years I've been leading. Mm-hmm. And I mean, really, literally, I was just thrown into leadership roles and everything that I've done. And I can remember some people that really just, dear Darla, I hate your stinking guts.
Yeah.
You're the scum between my toes.
Yeah.
I mean, really just did not like me. Said some horrible things about me. Defame my name. Talk bad about my family.
Yep.
Just terrible things. But you have to be like a duck.
Yep.
And just let it roll off your back. Because, again, the vision has to be more compelling than your desire to get approval from people.
Yep.
And that's where I think leaders kind of mess up.
Yep.
And it's not about getting approval from people. It's about being able to confidently go in a direction that is not always the preferred direction that people want to go.
Yeah.
But it's what's necessary to propel your organization to the destiny that it needs to achieve.
Yeah, and I think that right there is critical. I think about the old Ford guy. He said before they built the car, he said because he was tough also, right? But he said if I would have asked them what they wanted, speaking about the car, he said they would have said they wanted a bigger horse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Know what they
don't, and many times when you're leading people don't know what they want, right? Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily know what they need to take them to the next level. And if sometimes we allow people to make those decisions, we're going to stay stuck in the same place because we're always going to pick the person who we like, not the person who can get us where we need to be.
Yeah, and that's a tough thing in leadership as well.
Yep.
Just dealing with the different personalities. I would always love the job if it weren't for managing people because, people are so unpredictable. And then when I wasn't managing people, I just had a short period of time where, I was working for myself and didn't really have any people that I was leading, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I really missed that component of it because for me, it's about, that give and that take, that mentoring and leading. I think a leader also has to be one that can take feedback from other people, and that we hear a lot of times, "Oh, my door's always open," but it's not really.
But is it really? Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But can take I can take as a leader constructive criticism and not be offended by it.
Right.
But allow it to help me to grow and to propel our organization.
That's real good. That's real good. So let's do this. Let's drop 3 facts on them. Just like three specific things, especially as it relates to communication and leaders. As we're talking just a little bit about politics in a different way today. And you want to kick them off?
Yeah. So fact number 1 about communication for leaders is that you have to be authentic.
Yeah.
That's so important. I mean, we really value we call it transparency.
Yep.
We'll say it all the time. But you need to be honest
Mm-hmm.
and you need to be sincere. You need to speak with your own voice, not with that of someone else's,
Right.
and not with the voice that, people that you're leading expect you
Right.
to lead with or
Right.
want you to lead with. But you have to lead with the voice that's right.
Mm-hmm.
You have to sound like yourself, not sound like anybody else.
That's a crazy one right there, because we hear a lot of recordings out there. They don't have their own voice.
No.
Yeah.
You have to come from where you come from.
That's right. That's right.
And bring forth your values in the mix.
Right.
And that comes through. Like, we all know, like, there's been, and I think about, like, rap music.
Mm-hmm.
There was a whole, like, era where we're like, oh, no fake rappers. They're rapping about stuff they didn't never experience,
right.
But it's what's selling records,
right.
blah, blah, blah. Well, the same thing is true for leaders. You have to come from your lens.
Right.
Like, don't try to wear somebody else's glasses, because
right.
you're going to miss on that communication. Like, share your perspective,
mm-hmm.
share your real voice, and don't mutate and manipulate and
right.
shift and change, because that's what people want.
Right. Don't give people what they want. Give them the real you.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Be willing to just be really you, and okay with that. Like I said, okay with all of your strengths and all your faults and flaws.
Yep.
And be willing to take that feedback and that input. That's so important. I mean, that just builds trust.
Yeah, yeah. The second one is, I think, crucial. It's about visibility is a form of communication, right?
Yes.
We have to understand that people, when they look at you, they are reading you. There are so many inputs that happen inside of people, and they make, I don't even know how many, but the moment they see you, they're already processing information about you as an individual. I remember Dr. Albert Morabian way back when he did a study on communication, and he talks about there are 3 different portions of communication. There's a verbal element, a vocal element, and a visual element. The verbal being the words, the vocal being how you say it, and then the visual being what you see. And it was so striking, because when he asked people what percentage of a message comes from those 3 components, the results were striking, because he said 7% of a message comes from words. Mm-hmm. And just like if you read words, if I read words, they're going to sound totally different. It's the same words, but we sound different, right? Yeah. The vocal element, how you say them was 38% of that message, which I can see that. Again, the way we speak, our different way of pronouncing and enunciation, those things change. But the biggest piece of a message came from what people saw when they see you, right? I mean, think about this. Like I'm learning to love animals, and we do have a beautiful small little dachshund, Miss Lola Bell, right? But here's the thing. You ever notice, like, you can talk to Lola, and you can be like, you are such a bad girl. You are horrible. I am so mad at you right now. And she's like, yeah, talk to me more. You know what I'm saying? Because she's reading the visual and cues and the inflection in your voice. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The words are all jacked up. And when I really grab that, I begin to understand that for us as a leader, how you look when you communicate is important, because people are reading you every single time.
Yeah. And 60% of all management issues are related to communication.
Yeah. We heard it.
Issues you have, like 60% of it is because of the communication. Because you're not either being authentic, and people don't trust you.
Yep.
Because they're like, oh, you're one thing one day.
Yep.
You're another thing. You ever been like you got company in the organization, and you have this big meeting.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden your leader is like somebody you don't know.
Yep.
And you're like, what?
That's crazy. Who is this person?
What?
Yeah.
And then they just act some kind of way.
Yeah, and you sitting there looking at them like, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
But most of the problems that we have in organizations come back to these things that we're talking about with communication. And the third one, and I think this is the biggest one, this is probably where most of the misses are. Mm-hmm. Because for whatever reason, leaders think that it's more about them being heard than listening.
Wow.
But honestly, I think it's the other way.
Mm-hmm.
There's the whole idea of management by walking around.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. It ties into what you're talking about visibility. Like people seeing you doing, people seeing you seeing you engage.
Right.
People seeing you as being a part. All
Right.
of that is communicating to them that, yes, I'm part of this.
Right.
Yes, I care about what happens. And even that management by walking around
Mm-hmm.
allows people to see that you truly care. And in that time, you can really listen.
Right.
You know, everything in your organization is speaking to you if you take the time out to listen.
Yep.
And people don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Come on. That's good.
You know,
That's
and
good.
so many times we miss with employees that we manage because they're growing through a life circumstance.
Yep.
And we are just being really critical about the behavior that we see, but we didn't
Right.
take the time to really listen. And we could literally damage
Mm.
some of our best employees by not taking the time to listen.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important to truly listen. And again, it does go back to that open door, being able to receive feedback,
That's
but
good.
also just hearing it out. Like, honestly, if you're leading, whether it be at your home
Mm-hmm.
or your organization,
Mm-hmm.
your best ideas are sitting, you know, maybe in a cubicle somewhere.
Yep.
Or they're back there in their bedroom, you know, watching Netflix
Yep.
and sending text messages
Yep.
and doing Snapchats and, you know, TikToks. So you need to be listening.
That's good.
And you need to be asking the right questions. You need to know what questions to ask, and
Very
then just sit back and listen. Really lead that listening, but lean in. And the walls do talk.
That's good.
So you need to lean in and listen. You know, we all have those people within our organizations or even our home that we seem to have more conflict with.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found is those are the people that you really need to sit down
Mm.
and really
Yeah.
pick their brains.
That's good. That's good.
Because there's a reason for the conflict.
Mm.
And there's usually something very special in that individual that
That's
can
very
really
good.
help to propel you forward as an individual and,
Right.
and see some shortcomings about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then also that will have a unique perspective on the organization or your family group.
That's good. That's good. Speaking about leading, many people you may not know right now, but we're getting ready to share it with you. We do have something that we have put together for houses and marriages so that you can lead in your marriage, right? You can understand yourself and how you're wired and how you can lead effectively as an individual, but also as a married couple. So we're going to show you just our quick little promo for what we call the cheat code. Check it out.
I'm an individual
I'm an individual
with my own way of doing things.
with my own way of doing things.
I have my own strengths
I have my own strengths
and my blind spots.
and my blind spots.
I like things done my way.
I like things done my way.
But what happens when two individuals come together and bring two different paradigms?
Upbringings and way of doing things.
Miscommunication at a high level.
What if you could hardwire your relationship for success? What if you could understand the why behind actions and speak the same language? What if you possessed a cheat code for your relationship that provided an opportunity for you to always win?
If you're ready for your relationship to level up, don't wait. You need to click the buttons below now. Get started and get your own personalized relationship cheat code.
The cheat code.
Cheat code.
The cheat code. I'm
It's not
telling
what
you.
you think it is.
It is not what you think it is, but I tell you, it is.
It is
It's
so
awesome.
worth it.
It's
It
awesome.
is so awesome. We love doing it, and it'll give you the edge
That's right.
that you need in
That's
your
right.
marriage.
Come on.
You like
I like that. I like that. I like that, lady. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we're gonna finish up with effective communication. And
Yep.
we're gonna give you 5 tips because the most important thing about communication, not to have misses,
Yep.
is to make it simple.
Yep.
That's effective communication is simplistic communication.
Yeah, that's good.
And so we've got 5 keys to effective communication for leaders because all of us are leading in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you hit us with number 1?
Yeah, I think I would say communicate relentlessly.
Relentlessly.
Relentlessly, meaning there is no such thing as over communication. There's no such thing as sharing and keeping the vision in front of you and keeping it out there. There is no such thing as continue to bring that information out there and bring those ideas out there. There is no shortage of that. There can be no shortage of that. So I would say make sure that we continue to be relentless in the way that we communicate. Make sure that we're transparent in the way that we communicate, and make sure that as we're communicating, it's smooth, right? It goes forward, and the team, the organization, the people, whomever it is, they get it. Because the problem with communication many times, the problem is not that you weren't communicating, because you were communicating to the best of your ability. The problem is they didn't get it. Yeah. So sometimes you gotta hit them, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times. Don't stop. Keep on communicating. There's no such thing as over communication.
Yes, be relentless. And number 2 is a kind of great lead in with that. Really being very simplistic and extremely direct in your communication. Remembering that people have different learning styles, and so try to appeal to all of those learning styles so that people can truly understand what it is that you're trying to say. Don't pile on a ton of information to sound smart.
Come on, somebody.
Or
Woo!
overly eloquent.
Yeah.
Just kiss method it. Keep it simple, silly.
Yeah.
And just be smart about how you're communicating.
Yeah.
So if you have something to communicate, you need to think it all the way through. Many times when we miss in communication, is because we haven't thought it all the way through. But a good leader will say, you know what? I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
Right.
That is effective communication.
That's
so,
good.
Number 2 is just be simplistic and direct with your communication.
Number 3, and you spoke about this very hard earlier, but it's listen and encourage input, right? The thing about a leader is being able to say, I don't have all the answers. Now you try it. You don't have to have all the answers to be a great leader. What you can say is, I know where the destination point is. I know how to get us from point A to point C. But listen, the whole reason that this team is together is because I believe that all of you have those other letters to fill in the blanks. And I need to hear from you. So help me understand, how can we make this work? I always hear people say, well, how is this not going to work, right? Talk to people and get your team, get those other leaders around you to help you understand, how can we get this to work? Mm-hmm. And we will be surprised at the amount of input and the amount of knowledge that people already have on the inside of them, if we encourage them and to provide input to the conversation and the decisions. Mm-hmm. So number 3 is make sure we listen and we encourage input.
Number 4 is to illustrate through stories. And so I want you to think back when you were a child.
Yeah.
Like before you matured, did you want to read a chapter book? Did you even want a chapter book read to you? Not necessarily. Like you wanted to see the illustrations. And so we need to speak with illustrative language, because like I said, before you can really have someone's heart or hand, you have to get their heart. You gotta have the heart.
Yep.
And stories, telling stories, they draw people in. They connect other people to your humanity.
Yeah.
And so if you're conveying a vision, a strategy, relate it back to a story. Again, share that human component of yourself. And that's what stories do, is they connect us to our humanity. And that helps us to trust each other. I mean, we've all sat up under that leader that seemed like superhuman or subhuman. I don't know which. It just depends on the leader.
Right.
But they had zero relatability.
Right.
And so many times communication is not effective because there's a lack of relatability.
That's good.
So be relatable and use stories to illustrate. Because again, like I said before, people learn in different ways. But storytelling captures their hearts and makes them motivated to put forth the effort to achieve the vision that you've set before them.
That's good. That's good. The last one, number 5, affirm with actions. Okay? Affirm with actions. I know I've seen many leaders who they'll sit down and they listen to you and they give you all the positive affirmation, but then the moment that they leave, they do nothing with the conversation. And then weeks later, you're like, but didn't we just have this conversation? We just talked about this and nothing shifted and changed. So as a good leader, as an effective communicator, you want to affirm with action. The way that you show people that you were listening is you do. And honestly, especially as we're talking about politics, that's part of the issue I think people see from a political standpoint, right? We don't see any action. So people affirm, and during the political season, they talk a big talk, and they talk about what they're going to do, and they talk about their platform. But what about the affirming with action? Because here's the thing. If I can find a leader who can affirm with action, guess what? I'm going to give them more because I know that action is going to come behind that.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I give you something, a piece of gold, and you do nothing with that, guess what? I'm not giving you anything else. So from a leadership standpoint, we have to make sure that we're affirming with action. Now, for a leader, we got to understand that when you do that, that boosts your credibility as a leader. And if you don't do that, it will rip apart your credibility as a leader. And if you don't have credibility, you don't have trust. And if you don't have trust as a leader, you're going to be leading. You're going to turn around and nobody is going to be in the back following you.
That's right. And the only reason we communicate is for action to result.
That's
so
it.
Good communication, the product of that is action.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
So let me ask you this. I mean, if we stop and we look at it, we gave them 5 specific things today. They got to communicate relentlessly. They got to make sure that they're simple and direct. They got to listen and encourage input. They got to illustrate through stories. And then lastly, we said we need you to affirm with action. This is what leaders do. And I don't care where you are. I don't care if it's on your job. I don't care if it's on the political platform right now. But I will say this. Yeah, at home. Right now, as we get closer to election time, I want you to ask yourself the questions. Are the people that you are voting for, are they doing these things? Because I'm going to say this. I don't care where you stand politically, but if people and the people that you are voting for are not doing these things, I would just ask you to pause and ask yourself the question is, are they going to be able to lead us where we need to go? And if you are not sure, then I would pump my brakes. If you are positive, then you go forward. Again, but you gotta stop and ask yourself the tough question, not the easy one.
That's right. Our country and our communities, even we all need change.
Yeah.
And we need people who are willing to lead for change. And so we have got to get out of the mindset of just voting one political party or the other because it just seems easy. We have to begin to dig into the issues, and we have to educate ourselves to cipher out these things, to filter out these things, to determine whether or not we believe that these candidates are able to put some action to the things that they say. Are they going to be people of their word? And many times that's sometimes hard to determine.
Yep.
But that is our role, and that is our responsibility as voters. And so we wanted to bring you these tips. Because you can use them, and we wanted to bring them to you right now in the midst of, preparing for an election season so that you can keep these at the forefront of your mind as you're making decisions about voting. Don't get sucked into the eloquent speaker that really says nothing. Don't be taken aback by the person who comes off very strong and very passionate about things. Really dig in and see what things are really all about. Don't fall to the smoke screen.
Don't fall to the smoke screen, right?
And don't just vote party. Really educate yourself and find out what these people who are leading our country truly stand for. That's so important to me.
At the end of the day, it's still about education and being able to educate yourself as to what's really going on. Absolutely. I mean, I'll say this, and we'll get ready to head on out. But I mean, even the other day for me, I was looking at a political thing, and I literally had to pull it up and go in and dig deep and start reading. And I thought that I was in support of what I was reading about. I was like, oh man, yeah, I support this. And the more that I read and the more that I dug in, I was like, Oh, I didn't see the small print. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And we get so caught up in the smoke screen and the smoke and mirrors that we miss the small print. So we implore you to make sure that you read the small print and you ask yourself these questions, right? So that we can make sure that we can have effective leaders everywhere that we go.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. High five.
High five.
Hey, I like doing this with
You
you.
feel like you're empowered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
telling you.
like doing this with you too. I look forward to it all the time, just having good, deep conversations and inviting people into them. So thank you all so much for tuning in to Facebook, if that's where you're watching us live, and or our podcast. Please definitely share this out. We are on every platform where podcasts are heard. So check it out in the gym. Check it out in the carpool line because it looks like kids are going back to school.
That's right.
COVID or no COVID. So whenever you got time, while you're cooking, while you're cleaning, yeah, all those things you do.
Ask Siri about us. Say, Siri, I need you to play the Edge Life podcast.
She knows all about it.
She knows all about Edge Life 7. I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Don't forget the 7.
That's right. Edge Life 7 podcast.
That's right.
Hey, we love y'all, man.
We love y'all so much.
We'll see y'all next week. Same time.
Same time.
Same channel. We'll holla. Peace.
You know we had to cap it off with Jesus. Edge life, you're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge life. Oh, oh, gotta get it in your head, baby. Welcome to the edge life. You're too close to the ledge. We gon' push you forward a few steps ahead. It's that edge